High School Interclass Debate Competition. Our topic today is parents should be allowed to choose their baby's gender. On my right is the government team from A1D, consisting of Miss Yuan Hui as the first speaker, Mr. Hong Seng as the second speaker, Mr. Jian Bing as the third speaker, and Miss Zhe Xian as the fourth speaker. And on my left is the opposition team from A2A, consisting of Miss Li An as the first speaker, Miss Jenny as the second speaker, Miss Yu Hong as the third speaker, and Miss Lian as the fourth speaker. Now, I would like to introduce our team of educators. Miss Nuru as the chief educator, and the other educator is Miss Pei-Lu. Aiko Jumei will be the chairperson for this debate, and Yong Yi-wen will be the timekeeper. Now, I'm going to introduce the rules of today's debate competition. Firstly, the maximum speaking duration is 5 minutes for each speaker and 4 minutes for revised speech. There is no extra time given. Next, during the rebuttal, members should not bring up any new arguments or new evidence except on direct refutation of material which has already been presented. Then, members will only speak when called upon by the speaker. There should not any heckling. Besides, all speakers should attempt to both deliver at least one POI and to accept one POI during the course of the debate. There is no continuous POIs allowed. It is considered as heckling. Furthermore, the first minute of each constructive speech is considered protected time during which no POI can be met. In addition, no POI and new main point may be met during the revised speech. Moreover, the government team must define the resolution. Their definition must be accepted unless it is undebatable or unreasonable. Lastly, is the time allotted for the competition. Time given is 5 minutes. The first bell will ring after the speaker speaks for 1 minute, like this. After 1 minute, members of opposition team can then raise the POI. After the speaker has spoken for 4 minutes, the bell will ring like this. POIs can be still met after this. POI's time given is 15 seconds. After the bell rings, the speaker will have to stop. And after the speaker has spoken for 5 minutes, the bell will ring twice, like this. The speaker has to stop. Now, I call upon the first speaker of government to present her case. The time given is 5 minutes. Please begin.
Good morning, respected judges, my honored audience, my worthy opponents. The topic of today's debate is parents should be allowed to choose baby's gender. I, as the first speaker of the government team, would like to strongly affirm our support for allowing parents to choose their baby's gender. We, the government team, define the topic is to discuss gender selection, also called as the sex selection. Sex selection is the attempt to control the sex of offspring to achieve a desired sex. Sex selection is performed through sperm separation or genetic testing. The embryos with the desired sex are implanted into the woman's uterus. It can be accomplished in several ways, both pre- and post-implantation of embryo, as well as a childbirth. It is a medical procedure called pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. It's essentially a screening which allows IVF embryos to be tested for the gender-related genetic conditions. Before being placed in the womb, the main aim of the test to is to make sure only the healthiest embryos are implanted into the woman's womb. If the test reveals that they are healthy embryos of both gender, parents can, in theory, pick which gender they would prefer. There are three core motivations of engaging in sex determination and sex selections. Medical reasons such as preventing the birth of children affected or at risk of X-linked disorders. Family balancing reasons where couple choose to have a child of one sex but they already have one or more children of other sex. Gender preference reasons, often in favor of male offspring stemming of cultural, social, and economic bias in favor of male children as a result of policies requiring couples to limit reproduction to one child as in China. In some countries such as India and China, it's commonly known that the practice of sex-selective abortion has resulted in distortions of the natural sex ratio in favor of males. In addition, there is concern that sex selection involves inappropriate control over non-essential characteristics of children and may place a potential psychological burden on, and hence cause to harm to sex-selected offspring. The biological normal sex ratio at birth ranges from 102 to 106 males per 100 females. However, ratio higher than normal, sometimes as high as 130, have been observed. This is now causing increasing concern in some South Asian, East Asian, and Central Asian countries. In 2001, the national sex ratio in India was 933 females and 1,000 males, but only 927 females in the age group under 6-year-old. In Haryana state, this discrepancy increased to 861 females and 1,000 males, with only 820 females in under 6 age category. We agree with the topic because parents have basic human rights to choose their own family, social problems that are occurring in most countries, and parents need to choose their baby's gender specifically as the requirement of the family. I agree. For instance, ancient China kingdom always divided into many dynasties and causes chaos. This happened because of not having a true successor. A true successor of the kingdom should be capable in leading the nation, and their people, usually the royal family, face this problem when it happens. They do not have the choice of selecting baby's gender. In this case, they need to specify give birth of a baby boy. Thank you.
Thank you. The first speaker has spoken for 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Next, first speaker of the opposition to present a test. Time given is also 5 minutes. Please begin.
Thank you, Chairman and timekeeper. A very good morning to the adjudicators, members of the floor, and my fellow opponents. I'm Lian, and I'm the first speaker of the opposition team. We, as the opposition team, strongly oppose to today's motion, which is parents should be allowed to choose their baby's gender. We agree the definition given by the government team, and I would like to add on the definition of today's motion. The term parents means the mother and father of a child. The term choose would be defined as select, and baby would be defined as a fetus or an embryo. Gender would define as a boy or a girl only. I would like to emphasize that gender does not include gender neutral. Today, as the first speaker, I will be giving the first point, which is the child would be living in his or her parents' expectations. Our second speaker will be talking about gender inequality and the statement will against the natural law. Our third speaker would rebut the point given, and our fourth speaker will be doing the reply speech and prove that this motion should fall. Now, I would like to rebut the first speaker of the government team. She said that it is advisable for parents with genetic disorder problem. I would like to say that if gender selection technology can be developed, why not use technology directly to cure the genetic diseases? Thank you. So, the main point that we would be discussing today is, are parents allowed to use medical technologies to select a male or female baby? As the opposition team, we believe that parents are not allowed to use medical technologies to select the baby's gender. Now, into my first point, which is the baby will be living in his or her parents' expectations. The baby is used to fulfill their parents' desire but not respecting the baby. If their parents are allowed to choose, then it will be against Cantonism. The parents would place the burden of their unfulfilled dreams onto their children, hoping that they would help them achieve their dream. Hence, they are born to complete a mission instead of living their own life. Ladies and gentlemen, just imagine that if you know that you are born just to fulfill your parents' expectation, what would you feel? And imagining that you are doing this on your own baby, won't you feel sorry? If you place expectations on him or her, the child will lose his or her characteristic and personality. On the other hand, if they can't fulfill or reach your expectation, you would probably feel more disappointed. Remember, your children is just your children, not a tool nor a toy, not your extension and your grandson legend. They are a gift from God. Khaled Hosseini once said, "Children aren't coloring books. You don't get to fill them with your favorite color." Hence, I would like to urge the members of the floor to stand with us in saying that parents should not be allowed to choose their baby's gender. Thank you.
Thank you. The first speaker has spoken for 3 minutes and 29 seconds. Next, second speaker of government to present his case. Time given is also 5 minutes. Please begin.
Good morning, Vice Educator, honored audience, and my respected opponents. The topic for today's debate is that parents should be allowed to decide their baby's gender. I, as the second speaker of the government team, would like to strongly affirm our support for parents should be allowed to decide their baby's gender. My team's second point is sex selection, abortion, and gender selections. And my third point and final point is human rights. Sex selective abortion is the practice of terminating a pregnancy based upon the predicted sex of the infant. The selective abortion of female fetus is the most common, where male children are valued over female children, especially in parts of East Asia and South Asia, North America, as well as in the Caucasus and Western Balkans. In many countries and cultures, gender selection happens already, usually by selective abortion or abandonment of unwanted babies. Everyone can agree that this is a terrible waste of life and potentially very dangerous for the mother concerned. And of course, many people object strongly to abortion on moral grounds. Sex selective abortion was first documented in 1975 and became quite common by the late 1980s in South Korea and China, and around the same time or slightly later in India. Sex selective abortion affects the human sex ratio, the relative number of males to females in a given age group, with China and India, the two most populous countries of the world having unbalanced gender ratios. Studies and reports focusing on sex selective abortion are predominantly statistical. They assume that birth sex ratio, the overall ratio of boys and girls at birth for a regional population, is an indicator of sex selective abortion. With that, I would like to continue to my third and last main point is human rights. People should have freedom of choice. Why shouldn't parents be able to do this given that there is no harm done to others by their decision? In Article 16 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that men and women of full age have the right to marry and to form a family. And this right should be understood to cover the right to make decisions over how that family should be formed. The first speaker of the opposition team has tried to tell you that parents can't use technology to choose their baby gender, but does that mean that we should use sex selection, abortion, and gender selections to abort their babies? To sum up, sex selection, abortion, and gender selections and human rights.
EOI.
My dear opponent, how do you confirm that which gender is better for your child? Don't you think the children are more understanding about their own identity?
We are not saying that is the gender is the better. We are just try to get.
You cannot accept
Oh, okay.
second
Yeah, you need to answer. Let's say if you want to answer, you can say it later during your
My third speaker will answer your question later on. With that, I would like to sum up my second main point and third and last main point is sex selection, abortion, and gender selection. To sum up, without allowing parents to decide their baby genders, this will cause a lot of sex selection, abortion, and gender selection, and taking away their human rights. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker has spoken for 4 minutes and 54 seconds. Next, second speaker of opposition to present her test. Time given is 5 minutes. Please begin.
Good morning to my dearly opponents, the adjudicators and the members of the floors. I am the second speaker of the opposition team. I am Shani. The topic for our debate today is parents should be allowed to choose the baby's gender. We, the opposition team, strongly disagree with the topic. First of all, I will rebut the points that bring up by the government team. The second speaker has tried to tell us that if parents are allowed to choose the baby's gender, it will reduce the number of abandoned babies. But what we like to say that is, according to Dr. Tamara Brown, lecturer in health, ethics, law, and professional development, children is a gift. Parents should love them no matter what gender they are. That's parents' responsibility to treat their children equally. He also said that about the human rights, but we need to rebut about how do you confirm what gender are better for your child. Your child are also a person. He had a right to choose it for herself. Why don't you let them to choose by itself in the future, as I think that they are more understanding about their own identity. Today I will be talking to you about the third point and the second point and the third points. Now to my first point, if parents are allowed to choose the baby's gender by using gender selection technology, the society will become a situation which is it will value males and belittle females. Although the society is becoming more gender equality, but undeniably gender biasness concepts still exist in many boys born are 115 for every 100 girls because society values boys more than girls. In developed countries also, such as in Spain, only son is qualified to inherit the family business, while in our country, Malaysia, except Seremban, all states are using patrilineal system, fully proving that gender inequality is still illiteracy. Thus, what we are trying to say that is, if all parents are allowed to choose their baby's gender, they will more likely to choose to want a baby boy instead of a baby girl. Thus, the gender inequality situation will become worse and worse. It may not be the direct causes, but this situation will become worse with this using of gender selection technology. My next point is, if parents are allowed to use gender selection technology to select the baby's gender, people's demand and expectation will become more and more. More technologies will be continually developed to fulfill humans' expectations. Our society will soon face these demands from parents, such as choosing to affect children's hair color or genes for future intelligence. The point is parents' attitudes towards this technology. The technology will be used for more gene modification in order to born a more expected baby. And when does this stop? The problem is we human beings
parents should give the babies the right to choose their gender, but do you know that embryo is unconscious and don't even have hints of performance?
Mindfulness, you have only 15 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, you talk about moral, and this is related about the ethical and moral implication of breaking the law of nature. That is the traditional way of conception without interfering with the gender of the unborn child. Parents should not act like God and deliberately choosing the baby's gender. Let me continue my points. The technology will be used for more gene modification in order to born a more expected baby. And when does this stop? The problem is we human beings are mutating and becoming different from who we actually are. We are against the natural law as we are the gift of God but not the gift of technology. So in conclusion, we the opposition team strongly disagree with today's topics. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker has spoken for 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Next, third speaker of the government who present his test. Time given is 5 minutes. Please begin.
Good morning, wise educators, honor members of the house, and my respect opponents. The topic of today's debate is that his parents should be allowed for choosing their baby gender. I, as the third speaker of the government team, should rebut the first speaker statement and also the second speaker's statement. First of all, the third speaker of the opposite team said that children are not for the toys, and they also say that parents might harm the children's childhood because the parents need their children, they give hope and they want their children to complete all their requirements, condition given by their parents. Okay, I need to state a really important thing. We are discussing about the choosing of the baby gender. If we follow how the opponent team votes, it's like out of topic because they are discussing the attitude of the parents. In my opinion, if the attitude of the method of teaching their children is not good, it doesn't matter either their baby is boy or girl. In the end, they will all cause their baby is very hard pressure and want to complete all their requirements given by the parents. So it's not related. If the parents is good in teaching and their teaching method is not wrong, this case will not happen. It's not related. And the second point is, the second speaker of the opposite team said that this technology will imbalance the gender bias and also breaking the law of nature. And they say that human right and they say that human right is also for the baby, right? The baby also want to choose their own gender for themselves. It cannot let their parents to choose. But actually, baby is just sperm or embryo that's staying in their mother's body. They don't have the ability to think. They don't know how cruel is the society. They don't know what they must face. So it's actually very ridiculous to say baby can choose for themselves, because baby can't think. Yes.
But the baby is born, they will know about it then, and how will they think?
Okay. We are saying about choosing the baby gender. So in this phrase, the baby is still in the mother body. If you talk about the child or children, then the opponent thing might be right. But our topic is baby. Baby can't think, right? Okay. So I will continue my point. Because they say that this is breaking the law of nature. And okay.
A baby in the mother's stomach, not a human, don't have human right.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. A question to think. Who created the baby? Yeah, I think it's the parents, right? So baby it still doesn't exist in the world. He needs months, at least 9 months. And after that, it still takes years to have son, to know to speak. So if baby is still a creature, but it cannot do decision for himself, because it might not even exist. So if you say that baby must have their basic rights to choose, that doesn't make any sense. If you say baby is a creature, but baby can't think. Even if he is a creature, he still doesn't exist in the world. He's still staying in their mom's body. That's my point of view. Okay, the second point of the second speaker of the opinion, they say that this technology is breaking the law of nature, and this is not moral to the gods. But actually, in fact, there are many things is against the God. They are just choosing the gender of the baby. This is their own parents' business. It's not related with the God. And also, there are many things in the real world is against the God. For example, condom. Condom is made to protect, and in case anything, the embryo or sperm happen and mix together to create a baby. But that but actually, we humans must look for our own goods, not for the gods. God is just our belief.
Thank you. The third speaker has spoken for 5 minutes. Next, third speaker of opposition to present her case. Time given is 5 minutes. Please begin.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson and timekeeper. Good morning to the respected judges, adjudicators, members of the floor, and my worthy opponents. I am Teo Yi-ho, the third speaker of the opposition team. I am hereby rebut the problematic point of view from government team. First of all, the first speaker of the government team has mentioned that the genetic disorder will occur if the genetic disorder can be prevented if the gender selection, the technology being used. But if the gender selection technology can be developed, then the genetic disease preventing technology can also be developed, and this is more likely to cure the disease.